Good morning, and thank you all for joining us this morning. My name is Jared Brown. I'm the Director of Resource Development here at United Way of Central Illinois, and I want to thank each of you for joining us for the 2021 Workplace Campaign Special Events Training Session. Now, of course, today's session is only going to talk about special events, and those are those fundraising events and those campaign or impact-related events or engagement events that we hold during our workplace campaigns to make them a little bit more fun and a little bit more exciting. So again, thank you for joining us this morning. I appreciate the time and certainly appreciate everything that each of you are doing to help with this year's campaign. So when we talk about special events, the question that people typically have is, why are special events during a workplace campaign important? Well, for you, they're important because they offer an opportunity to inject fun into your campaign. And by doing so, this helps raise awareness, it helps engage employees, and it provides two unique opportunities. First, an opportunity to teach them about their options, to teach them about our community, to teach them about needs in our community and the importance of giving back. And second, it provides an opportunity to make that ask. And as you all know, making personal asks is the best way to increase the size of your campaign and increase your support of organizations and charities working inside our community. Now, for United Way, it's important for a very simple reason. When we look at where our fundraising came from prior to COVID, prior to 2020, you would have noticed that about 15% of our revenue comes from these special fundraising events that are held in the workplace. Now, it may seem like a small percentage, but when you're dealing with millions of dollars, it adds up. And when we look at 2020 and we look at what happened when we were in a year which people were working from home, which there was no ability to gather people in the workplace, there was no ability to have special events in the workplace, or at least in-person special events in the workplace, what we saw is that percentage drop to almost nothing. In fact, if you go prior to 2020, we would see on a typical year somewhere around $300,000 to $350,000 in special event dollars from fundraisers in the workplace. During 2020, we actually saw that drop to about 40,000. So it was about a 90% decrease in special event dollars coming in. And obviously that had a profound effect upon us and upon all the organizations who we partner with in the community who really rely upon those dollars. But out of adversity comes opportunity. And some of you may have seen this slide in our normal training. We believe that there is sort of a heightened sense of community needs that exists today that did not exist a year and a half ago. People are a little bit more attuned to needs such as hunger, such as homelessness, such as education and after school programming, and of course, health. And so, as people return to the workplace, there's sort of a renewed energy. We sense it among all of you, and we sense it among everybody that we talk to in every event that we go to. And, of course, the biggest opportunity that comes this year is that we have the opportunity to do something new. A majority of our workplaces were unable to have special events last year. And some of you, I know, found that trying to do virtual events was somewhat cumbersome. And so when we're coming out of a year in which there was very little activity, it provides a unique opportunity to try something new without that risk of failure. So when you look at our goals as United Way for 2021, many of our goals in working with our companies who run workplace campaigns are really centered around basic best practices, getting back to the best practices of what makes a campaign successful. And so, 4 things, or as you look at the slide in front of you, what you'll notice is that in 2021, 3 of those 4 things that we're looking at, and the 3 that are bolded, all center around gathering people together, all center around bringing people together, creating those opportunities to talk to people, creating those opportunities to make personal asks of our colleagues. And so, I think we have an opportunity here. I think it is really an opportunity that we may never again have because of the fact that we went from very robust special events to absolutely none to an opportunity to do something new. Now, of course, each of your guys' challenges are unique in your own workplace. And so you need to take that into consideration as you begin to plan your activities for this year. Some of our businesses have very different guidelines in place or may still have some restrictions on staff gatherings or after work events. Every business has sort of addressed the return to work a little bit differently. And of course, there are always staffing level questions. Some of your businesses may have furloughed people or temporarily laid off people, or you may have staff shortages, which many businesses are experiencing as we finish out the summer this year. And so make sure you consider what the unique challenges are for your company. There really is no single event that works for every or type of event that works for every company. We want to make sure that everything's sort of personalized to fit your workforce, to fit whatever guidelines or rules that you have in place at your workplace. Now, when we talk about special events, we're really talking about two types of events. We're talking about first engagement-driven events, which may be a kickoff type meeting. It may be an all-staff meeting or department meetings. It may be volunteer opportunities. They're events that are designed to bring people together, to give it that opportunity to learn, to give that opportunity to make an ask, but they're not events which specifically raise dollars during those events. The other is what we traditionally call a special event, which is our fundraising events. Fun events that occur inside the workplace that are designed to not only raise awareness of the campaign, but also designed to supplement that campaign and to engage people who might not give through payroll or might not be able to make a one-time gift, but yet they may participate in something fun in the workplace. So as we begin to talk about these two sorts of events, we have a very simple goal this year with all of our companies. We want you to consider having at least one special event. If it's something that you've never done with your workplace campaign before in the past, it's an opportunity to try something new with your campaign. If it's something to where you've had multiple events in the past, but now we've taken a full year off, now it's a chance to re-implement those. And maybe you can't do everything that you were doing in 2019, but we can take it one step at a time. So our big goal with all the companies, with all of our partners, is really to look at, do you have the ability to have at least one special event? And then the second ask that we would have of all of you would be, as you plan those events, consider having one of those special events. If you have more than one, consider having it designated to Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. So as those of you who have attended our trainings know, or have seen some of our communications in the past year, we had a very special anonymous gift come in last holiday season. And it essentially eliminated the entire waiting list that existed for the Dolly Parton Imagination Library program. So today there is no waiting list for any child in our community. And so if someone signs up today, they'll receive books within 2 months. Those monthly books will start coming in. We want to keep it that way. And so, one thing that we're asking is help us support this great program for the community, a program that's open to any child in our community, regardless of their income, and consider having one of those special events designated towards DPIL. Now, when we talk about engagement events, those events designed to bring people together, we're really talking about, or for the most part, most people think of these events as kickoff type events, but they can also be a celebration meal. They can be that type of event to where you're celebrating the end of your campaign, celebrating the successes of your campaign. If you're unable to draw all of your employees together, if you work at a larger workplace, or you're just unable to bring everyone in. So for instance, a lot of our businesses that have call centers can't necessarily do an all staff meeting because someone has to be handling business at that time. Consider doing it at a department level. You know, can you have those events in a smaller group setting? Bring in some food, something to attract people in. If it's not going to be an all staff type meeting or an all department type meeting to where they're required to attend, have something to draw them in. So it may be a potluck lunch, it may be where the company has paid for lunch, or even we have companies that bring in food trucks for their employees for the day. And so they'll go out to the food truck, they'll grab their meal, and then they will head back into their meeting. Consider having some incentives. So maybe it's 1 or 2 gift cards and a small drawing centered around that, something to boost attendance inside that event. And then finally, you know, look at these events really as an opportunity to have a presentation, to let them know what their options are with the campaign, to let them know about donor choice, to let them know what the work that United Way does, but it's also an opportunity to ask. And even if it's just a lunch, even if it's just a fun event just to bring people together, even if it's a special event where you're raising money, use it as an opportunity to make an ask, because that is critically important. And as we know, when it comes to giving, the biggest reason why people do not make a gift to charity is because no one ever asked them. And so I can't stress enough the importance of using every event that you do in the workplace as an opportunity to make an ask of people. Now, other types of engagement events beyond that typical kickoff lunch or kickoff event or celebration event, other types would include things that are designed to engage perhaps both inside and outside the workplace through volunteer engagement, through volunteering. If you're interested, we could work with you on arranging an on-site kit packing. These are typically events that there is some budget needed since there are hard items, and they do take a little bit of time to plan. But they're a great way to bring people together without asking them to leave the workplace. And they can be done in shifts. It can be done in very short time schedules. It can be stretched out over 1 or 2 days. You know, we have one company that has set it up in a conference room, and then throughout the course of 2 or 3 days, employees came in and helped out with that packing as their schedules allowed, as their managers permitted time for that. And so it's a great way to get people involved, everybody in the workplace involved. The second is virtual volunteer events. Now, of course, we saw a lot of these in 2020, and some were successful, some were not as successful. But you know, we do have events. If you're interested in doing something virtually in the workplace, we do have things like our Letters for Seniors campaign that we typically run. Last year, we did a Letters of Encouragement for Students as well, and we may do that again this year. But it may also be doing things like retiree outreach or senior calls, health checks. And so we have virtual volunteer opportunities that are available for your colleagues in your workplace. And then I would also highlight that we are planning one such type event or drive, which we would love to get all of you involved with. Our Reunited group will host their holiday cards for senior event again this year. And essentially what we do is we work with local nursing homes, local retirement homes, and other senior programs inside of our community to get the names of their clients, of the people who they serve. And then we do a Christmas card campaign for them, to where we collect Christmas cards We typically publish the first name, so it gives you an opportunity to personalize those cards. And, you know, as we know, as people age, contacts drop off, and loneliness is always an issue. We call it social isolation, but it's a huge issue among our senior population. And there's nothing that brings more cheer to someone than getting that Christmas card in the mail, especially when they may receive fewer and fewer of them every single year. And so last year, I think we delivered, it was just shy of 1,000 Christmas cards to seniors in our community. And a lot of them, because it was the first year that we did it, a lot of those seniors actually received multiple cards. So it's kind of a neat event, and something we would love to have all of you involved in this year. So the second, when we talk about, or at the next slide, is we talk about volunteer and engagement type events. Is you can consider doing some sort of small group volunteer event. If you want to break up your workforce and maybe have 10 people go volunteer somewhere for a day, 10 people the next week, we can help arrange those events. Now, again, we need a couple weeks in order to be able to arrange them, because we do have to find an agency that has that immediate need. So it's not something we can do on 2 or 3 days, but if you give us at least 2 weeks, we can find that small group volunteering event to fit the number of people who you're looking at having volunteering. The second one is you could sign up for ongoing volunteer projects in our community, such as Daily Breads, home delivered meals. They are always looking for volunteers to help deliver meals to homebound seniors in our community. It's a great opportunity for individuals to get involved. You can even, you know, perhaps have a home delivery day inside your workplace, but they have the flexibility to be able to work with you. So it's a great way to get more of your employees out in the community without them having to make a long-term commitment to that volunteer opportunity. Now, we do have coming up immediately, so of course, if you're watching this webinar, the recorded version of this webinar, some of these days may have already passed, but for those of you on here today, we do have 2 opportunities going on right now. The first one is our Summer of Service. So these are bi-weekly, pre-arranged volunteer opportunities. They take place every other Friday from 3:30 until 5 p.m. and they can accommodate a group of up to 10 people. So it is a first come, first serve basis. The schedule is on our website at springfieldunitedway.org, and you can just click on volunteer and it will take you to our volunteer listings. But they'll fit groups of up to 10. So if there's a Friday in August where you're able to volunteer, this is a great way to begin to get your employees back to those group volunteer opportunities that they may not have been a part of for the past 18 months. The second is Day of Action, which will take place September 24th and September 25th. They're same times as what we traditionally have, and it will be an in-person Day of Action this fall. So we are returning to in-person volunteering opportunities. There will be no limit on group sizes, but of course, you know, if you have 50 or 60 people volunteering, there's always a chance we may have to split that group into 2 or 3, just based upon what volunteer projects we get from our local nonprofits. You know, we have multiple agencies that are involved in that. I think over the years, we've had close to 80 different agencies participate in Day of Action. A lot of them are the same organizations year after year, but we always have some new organizations in there. And, you know, a lot of times you may see a volunteer opportunity from one organization that's not there the next year, and perhaps it's because they didn't have a need that next year. So we will have these lined up. We also have multiple types of volunteer activities. So if there's any sort of special need that may exist, as far as if you have someone with severe allergies and you really want to have an indoor event, or if you have someone with limited mobility and they want to have and participate in something that doesn't require as much physical activity, let us know. We can help to to find the event that fits your group and the makeup of your group. But that sign up should be going up on our website, I would say within the next 3 weeks. And so we'll notify you when that occurs, but we definitely encourage all of our companies, and in fact, all of our donors and all of our volunteers to take advantage of Day of Action. It's a great way to not only do something together, but also to help us raise awareness for volunteering in our community, and of course, to help our local nonprofits out a little bit. When we move from volunteering, there is one other opportunity for engagement or engagement type event that you can have, and that's an agency or program tour. You know, we have seen personally with companies that take advantage of agency tours, it leads to an increase in giving at that company. And the reason's very simple, because these tours offer everyone the opportunity to learn firsthand about the work that our partners are doing in the community. And so we encourage all of you to think about arranging some small groups and doing some tours. Now, if you want to do it, reach out to us or reach out to your loaned executive, and we'll make the arrangements for you. So we know who's able to do tours, which ones offer a little more of a learning opportunity, because we do have some programs, such as some of our counseling programs, where their work's being done outside the office. And so, you know, a tour of an administrative office is probably not going to be as impactful as a tour of, let's say, one of our summer learning programs. And so we can help make those arrangements and arrange that tour, so it gives your colleagues learn more about some of the different organizations and programs working in our community. It provides a boost to your campaign. It's an extra opportunity to raise awareness for the campaign, and that extra opportunity to make an ask there. So a great opportunity. Just call us, but we would love to do it, and it really does produce a great deal of results. Now, of course, you know, the best engagement opportunities are ones that offer that opportunity for United Way presentation. And, you know, most people don't think of presentations as being special events, but a presentation can be a part of any special event, whether it is leadership or you reminding them and making that ask and reminding them of their options. But if you do a traditional presentation, you know, we could do it within 2 to 30 minutes, and it might include a video. It would definitely include you or someone from your leadership providing some details on your campaign. We always have a United Way staff member who's available to be there. And if you want, we can bring an agency in to maybe talk about their work. And, you know, they can make a presentation on their organization in anything from 5 minutes to 15 minutes if you give them, or 20 minutes if you give them that amount of time. So, you know, I think I would personally encourage all of you to take advantage of not only having us come in to talk about our work, but also bringing one of our funded partners with us. It's a great way for them to learn more about one of our programs, to learn more about one of our community partners. And it really does help to drive giving with all of your campaigns. Now, moving beyond those events that are just there to raise awareness, just there to bring people together for a purpose, are fundraising events. So what I often, and you'll often hear me refer to as a special event. When we talk about fundraising events, there's some things to remember. First, our goal this year is to have at least one event at each company. Second, try new things, especially this year. You know, some of you may have had great special events in the past, but perhaps you can't do those anymore, or you're still not ready to do those events, or maybe you were never really happy with the results of some of your events. Well, now's a great opportunity to try some new things. When you haven't done any of that for a year, it offers that new opportunity. And it also means that you can't fail. If you had no special events last year and this year you're able to have one special event and you try something new and it only raises a little bit of money, guess what? It's more money than we raised last year. So, it's a great year to really try out some new ideas. What I would tell you is try to keep them simple, make it easier for you to plan. We have a lot of different fundraising events that different companies do in the workplace. We know which ones are more complex, which ones are simpler. We know which ones raise more money than others. And so try to keep those simple and effective when you're making those plans. And then, of course, I would remind you that you can run your special events at any time. So even though your employee campaign may only be from September 1st to September 15th, why not do some sort of Christmas event or some event during the holidays, or maybe an event in the spring? Now, what I would tell you is that if you do plan on doing special events outside of when you run your workplace campaign, the one suggestion that I would have would be to get it on the calendar and to start promoting it during your campaign. Do it early. Force yourself to plan that event early on, because what we found that often happens is we'll have people who want to or intend or want to plan an event during the off season, but then they just never get around to it because other work duties, other responsibilities, other time-based activities come up and it presents a challenge, and that just gets pushed off. So if you plan on doing something outside of your normal workplace campaign, we'd certainly encourage it, but I would also encourage you to put it on the calendar, to tell other people about it, and to lock in that responsibility up front. Lock it in early. That way you follow through and other people follow through with having that event. Second, we have a sheet this year, which for those of you who have attended the training already, you've received that sheet. It's also available in our campaign toolkit of 5 highly effective events that are easy to put on, easy to organize, and which always produce results. So the first of those events, of course, is a jeans or casual or Live United Day. And we're actually going to talk about that in a minute because, your workplace may be among the workplaces where perhaps the dress code has changed a little bit and you need to look at what sort of alternative to our traditional jeans day can we have now that our employees are a little bit more casual. The second is an employee trivia night, and this is an event which we can run both virtually, but hopefully we can run in person. We know there are community-wide trivia events that occur, and we've had companies that have been able to do that for us in the past, and they're great opportunities to raise money, and they're fun events. There are usually a few spirits that are involved with those sorts of events, but they're great. But we also have a couple companies that have done private trivia nights as a way to engage their employees over the past few years. These have gone over great. They're a chance for employees and their families to come in. They make it a little bit more fun because everyone in the room tends to know everyone else in the room. There's a little more banter back and forth and maybe a little more competition, but they've absolutely loved it and had great success. We do have a trivia system available to us. And so if you want to do sort of an employee trivia night in the workplace, we can help put that together for you, including the software that you need to run it. We can even build the questions out based upon categories. We can even have someone there to help you host it and to run it at the event. So we want to make it as easy as possible. The next is Penny Wars. Very easy event to put on inside the workplace. Now, a challenge, of course, is going to be participation. And obviously, if you're a larger employee and you're departmentalized, you break it down by departments as a competition, and it works out well. But you can even do this as a small employer and have fun with it. So I know within our office, our communications director in 2019 had us do penny wars. And I think it was the first time organizationally that we had ever done it. And we only had a staff of 8 people. But there were some incentives that were highly sought after with that. And it turned into fun. And it was more of trying to make sure certain people didn't win. And that competition between employees, because we're all sort of the same personality, that really drove that. So, you know, we didn't raise much as 8 people. I think it was only a couple $100 from penny wars, but it was something that was fun and something that we'll do again, not every year. But, you know, it is a good event to have. Now, as I just mentioned, you know, while we won't do that every year, it's also something that we tell or sort of advise our companies is that if you do a penny wars consistently, take a year off every once in a while. Just sort of hit that refresh so that people don't feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. And then the year after that, bring it back again. And then they'll be more excited. Some people will have missed it and they'll be ready to participate more. But, you know, again, always sort of alternate between them. The next, very simple, is a breakfast or lunch potluck. This always goes over extremely well at companies that do it. And the way is that everybody brings in a dish and then they pay $5 per plate, or $8 per plate, or whatever price you set it at. And it becomes a fundraiser for the organization. We even have some companies that will buy the food and then it's sold off. So they'll pay the vendor and then the employees are making a donation for their plate or for their lunch. Great, easy to organize event you could have that will produce results and does bring people together. And then things like the cutest pet contest. So, you know, 2020 was difficult. We had a lot of companies who tried virtual events. We had some success with some of those events, but we also found out what didn't work or didn't work too well. And, you know, a cutest pet contest, a lot of companies have done this in the past inside the workplace, and they've worked extremely well. We did it virtually for one organization last year, and it blew the majority of our other virtual special events out of the water. It was just highly successful because of the competition between pet owners, because let's face it, everybody thinks that their dog or their cat or their hamster or their snake is the cutest pet. And so, you know, was one of our most successful virtual events last year, and is successful inside the workplace. So again, it's one of those events that can be done both ways. That's a little bit more engaging. So with each of these 5, we actually have easy to follow instruction sheets available for each of these 5. So if you say, okay, you know, this sounds great, but where do I start? We sort of have that step-by-step. Here's how you organize one of these 5 events. Here's what you need to do. We make it easy on you to be able to put those events on. Second, when you're talking about your fundraising events, and even your engagement events, but especially fundraising events, turn to the food. Food presents a unique opportunity to bring people together. Everybody loves events that center around food. So some of the more unique ones is that if all of your workforce is back in the office, do a snack cart delivery. You know, Wells Fargo did snack cart deliveries for years, and it was one of their best fundraisers. So they would have candy bars and brownies and other treats and even healthy snacks. And they would walk around and everybody wanted a snack when they saw the cart. The second would be a lunch delivery. You know, choose a set of meals from a local restaurant, set a price with small premium, and then, you know, have volunteers from your workplace pick up and deliver that food. And this could even be done. We've had a couple companies last year that were able to do this with their remote workforces. Now, of course, you couldn't do it if you have a couple hundred employees. It may be a little difficult to arrange that. But if you're in an office of 20, 30 people and some of them are still working remotely, or all of them are still working remotely, it can be done for those employees. But obviously, if everyone's back together in the workplace, it's a great opportunity to deliver lunch to their desks or into the building. Things like employee cookbooks are always great. They take a little bit more organization to do, but they do always sell. And if you have customers, it's something that you can offer your customers that, these are cooking tips or recipes from our employees, and it's a way to include outside groups. And it's a way to include outside groups. You can do employee cooking lessons. We actually had the comptroller last year with the state's campaign. The comptroller within her agency did a cooking lesson. And so it was like $5 to get the recipe and see the lessons. And then it was all done live over Zoom. And so it was a great event, very, very high turnout for that event. The next would be something like a food truck. We have people inquire about this every year. I will warn you though, and let you know that if you are going to bring in a food truck, have realistic expectations. It's not going to raise $1,000. It's not going to raise most likely $500. You're talking about a percentage of sales. And, if they have $2,000, $3,000 in sales in a day, that's a couple $100. So, we've had quite a few people who have done food trucks in the past who have been somewhat disappointed by the return from those food trucks. So this, I just want to have it's great. Your employees will love it, or your colleagues will love it, but have some realistic expectations that it's not going to raise a large amount of money. And then, of course, I already talked about a potluck in there. Now, next, when we talk about fundraising events, has your office gone casual? And we're sort of coming back to that Jeans Day issue. If they have, then do a dress-up day. Do something completely different. Try Costume Day or Superheroes Day, where they all wear their superheroes shirt, or a team day where they're all wearing their favorite sports team, or Live United Day. And we could definitely work with you to get t-shirts for the company. You would need to pay for them, but we can get them at a very low cost. And then you maybe just charge a few dollars above that so they get a t-shirt if they don't have one and they're making that donation. This has worked great for the companies that have done it in the past. And we can, even through the United Way store, even have things that are custom. And if we have enough time, we can have Live United shirts that are printed with your logos on them. But again, we do need to plan those well in advance because of the fact that those would be custom made items. Or you could do a pajama day if you're really brave and if the boss will allow it. So other types of fundraising events that work very well. We've had companies that have done a coin drive for United Way. Even some of our schools have done coin drives for United Way. It's an alternative to penny wars. You can have some sort of incentive built into it. You could have a drop-off day and a location, so it could all sort of be arranged. If you're interested in that type of event, we have more information on it. Things like goodie bags. One idea that has worked well with a lot of our companies is to do or sell goodie bags. So there's sort of a mystery bag. You don't know what's in it. You're going to get a combination of maybe some candy and some sweets in those bags, but there may be a random PTO day in that bag, or a random gift card in that bag, or an early off day, or a come to work late day, or an extended lunch hour, or lunch with the boss. So different prizes in different goodie bags. Now, not every goodie bag is going to have those coveted prizes. A lot of them are going to have just candy or sweets, some of them more than others. You want to make it completely random. And so that way people want to buy more than one. and it's actually worked really well. Now you can do something similar with a balloon pop, which is an idea that I love. Although, you know, there is a little bit of a noise factor and the fact that you have to blow up the balloons, but that's doing a similar thing to where, you know, you have the balloons blown up or they're buying a certain number of balloons, and there is randomly in those balloons, or all the balloons have a piece of paper in them that have something written on it. Some of those may be you've just won an extra PTO day, or you just won a $5 gift certificate or $20 gift certificate. Some of those pieces of paper may be blank or have a joke on them, to where, again, it's completely random and you're selling them $5 a balloon. You may walk away a winner, you may walk away as not a winner, but you had fun. And so, you know, looking for some creative ideas, things that really draw people in are great for your workplace. So we always tell people, always try to have something that's a little more, that has some level of competition built into it. Competition, believe it or not, does help raise money. It is one of the most effective ways to raise money, in fact. But consider hosting a contest. So again, you're back to sort of that cutest pets or guess the high school photo type of contest, or match the baby picture with the employee type contest. If you consider doing something out of season, you know, November, you know, you tend to see a lot of gentlemen who just sort of let their facial hair grow. It started out as mustaches, but sort of has bloomed into full facial hair. But do something in your workplace and have it designated towards health. So, you know, $5 to grow everything out, and have it go towards our health issue areas. So you're supporting men's health by doing more than just growing your mustache out. And then maybe have a prize for the best facial hair at the end of the month. So something fun and engaging. There are all sorts of these things that we can do throughout the year with different awareness months. And then finally, something that always works really well with most companies is get your leadership involved. Consider doing a dress up the boss type event, or a pie to the face, or even a kiss the pig if they're willing to do it. But something along those lines. I remember, you know, Horseman used to do an office swap among their executives. So it was always one of their raffle items that they had with one of their special events, was that if you won this, you get to swap places with boss. And so what they found oftentimes is it was executives that were actually purchasing large amounts of these tickets in order to put their assistants in their colleagues' offices, and put their colleague outside their door. And so, you know, using that unique opportunity helps really raise money, and they are fun and engaging. Now, of course, it does take a certain type of leadership, and you may not have some people in leadership within your company who are attuned to wanting to do or willing to do these sorts of things. So you need to make sure you understand who you're talking to before you ask those questions. But again, you know, with all the special events, with every special event you have, especially those ones that gather people into groups, use it as an opportunity to make that personal ask, because, you know, that is the biggest reason why people make a gift or why people don't make a gift. And we hear it time and time again. Now, of course, with each of our workplaces being a little bit different, as people return to work, I know we have some companies that are fully 100% back in the office already. We have some that are at 50%. We have some that are targeting August 1st, September 1st, October 1st. We have some where segments of their employees are going to remain remote for the foreseeable future. And so with every workplace being a little bit different, you may need to incorporate some virtual events. And so if you do, there are a couple that we would sort of point you to. Number one, a virtual trivia night is a great idea. But there have been a lot of virtual trivia nights, and We've done some. A lot of organizations have tried to do some. And we really saw attendance fall off for these types of events because people are wanting to come together more. And so if you do it, make sure you plan it well in advance. Make sure you have some good prizes and get sign up well in advance. That way you know well ahead of time if you need to cancel or postpone it or leave registration open a little bit more or come up with some alternative. But again, we have the software and we can help you with that. The next one's virtual bingo. And this has actually worked well with a couple of our companies who have done it for years. So it wasn't something that was a first time last year. It's something that they've actually done with their employees through email for several years. And that's where their employees would purchase their bingo cards in advance and it would be set out. And then on a daily basis, and you could even do it over Zoom, but the best is on a daily basis, they'll just send out random emails with different numbers and they'll use an app to generate those numbers. But, you know, it's something that is great, something that people can easily participate in. Of course, it's not gathering people together, but again, you know, keep it simple, have some prizes there. The virtual cutest pet contest we already talked about. Worked out very well. I mean, I was incredibly impressed. I was wondering how that was going to go last year, and I was shocked at the level of fundraising that some of those events brought in. And then, of course, the silent auction always goes over well because there's no live bidding built in with that. A silent auction can go on for a couple weeks. And we had some companies that were able to successfully do it virtually last year. So some things to remember as you plan your special events this year. Number one, you can't please everyone. That is just the reality of the situation. Some people will want you to do more. Some people may not like the types of special events that you have, and that's fine. Everybody in the workplace is different, but don't let one person's opinion affect something that's great for the other 99 people. It's okay if it fails, especially this year. You know, if you didn't have any special events this year and you try something new, or last year and you try something new in 2021 and you only raised $5, guess what? That is $5 more than what you raised last year. And that's just, you know, an infinite amount of growth. So it's okay if it's not as successful as you hoped. And it's also a learning example on what can we do better next year, or do we need to try something different next year? Next, make it manageable. Make it easier for you and make sure that you're engaging your committee or those people that are helping you in your workplace to where it's something that you can easily manage so it doesn't become a strain on your time. And take you away from your other work duties too much to where you create problems, but make it manageable. And of course, there's always more ideas on our website, but we try to guide you towards the ones that we know really work well. So how can we help? You know, besides things like instruction sheets and ideas and working with you one-on-one, we also do have a credit card swiper. That is available for any of your in-person fundraising events. I think we have 4 or 5 of these that are available in our office, so we can certainly lend you 1 or 2 of them. There will be a little bit of training that we would need to get to you, but they're pretty easy to use, and they're a way for you to be able to easily accept credit cards for your special events. We can also build a custom form out that's mobilely optimized, that will allow them to make a payment for an event, and we would sort of customize it. And it's actually what we use for the virtual pets contest, to where it will have a photo of their pet and then how many votes, and each vote's worth is so many dollars, so they'll click 3 votes for someone and then they're able to make their payment for the votes right there. And we do have some limited giveaway items. You know, we do keep a small stock of cups, pens, and other tchotchke in our office. It is extremely small because we don't have much of a budget for it. But if you only need 2 or 3 things, we can certainly provide that. Otherwise, we encourage you to go to the United Way store. If you need help ordering, we'll help you order those items, but we definitely want to help out and assist in any way possible. And then finally, before we go, as we hit the thank you screen, as you hold your special events this year, make sure you get us photos. We want to see what's going on. Let us know when those events are, and we'll have someone stop by. Whether or not they have the opportunity to say a few words, doesn't matter as much as us having the presence. So thank you all for your time today. Hopefully this will help you plan your special events for this campaign or get you thinking towards next year a little bit more. We appreciate the time. I really personally appreciate the time that each of you give. And as always, if you have any questions, you can always send me an email at jbrown@uwcil.org, or you can visit our website, springfieldunitedway.org, or give us a call. But you know, if you need any assistance at all or have any questions or looking for some ideas, give me a call at the office. I will always be happy to meet with you, buy you a cup of coffee, and see what ideas we can come up with to make your campaign a little bit more successful, to raise a little bit more money for programs and services in our community. So have a great week, and thank you again for your time.